All right, let's move on to this. The situation at our southern border continues to be a top priority for the Trump administration. Just this past weekend, a key member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee and our next guest, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford, traveled to the U.S.-Mexico border in San Diego, where he toured border facilities and met with law enforcement officials.
Serves as the chairman of the Border Security Subcommittee, and he's joining us now. So, Senator Lankford, thank you so much for taking the time. Under the Trump administration 2.0, we've kind of adjusted to the fewer border crossings, right, that had been wide open during the previous administration. But what were your takeaways from what's actually happening when you were able to visit the southern border?
A dramatic change has actually occurred. I go to the border pretty regularly, and I have for the past 10 years, to be able to check in different aspects, different places along the border, to be able to find out what's actually happening. It's remarkable to be able to see now versus a year ago and what's really happening at the border. Number one, the morale of our federal law enforcement is up again. They're finally getting a chance to enforce the law. They're turning people around. They're not hotel check-in folks that the Biden administration had them, where they were basically checking them in as they're crossing the border and releasing them in the country. Now they're arresting them, processing them, and turning them around immediately. And it doesn't matter what country they're coming from, they're getting turned around, put on planes, and flown back to their original country. So the message is getting clear, and they've also started prosecuting people if they have multiple crossings. That's a felony to be able to cross multiple times. So the individuals that are being picked up that have been caught before, they're now prosecuting them, giving them a felony, and then returning them back to their home country, which means they can never be allowed to be able to come back in the country again, visa or not. They're blocked permanently.
You do hear that time and time again from people within the border, Border Patrol agency, that the morale is the big thing that's really changed, as well as, securing the border. But last year, you led some negotiations here on bipartisan border security bill that faced some serious opposition as well from within your own party. How does what you saw during your recent border visit compare to maybe some solutions that have been proposed in that legislation?
Yeah, so go back to be clear, a year and a half ago when we were working on that bill, we were trying to get Biden to actually enforce the law. So half of that bill was cutting off funding to the Biden administration until they actually enforced the law that they had. The second half was closing loopholes and trying to be able to solve some of the issues. Right now, a lot of conservatives are complaining that the courts are holding up some of the things that the Trump administration wants to do, and some of them are being argued in the courts. That bill last year was to try to make it very clear when days like this came that the president does have the authority to be able to enforce the law. So I would expect many of the things the president's doing right now, they're going to be just fine. The courts are going to say it's consistent with the law. A couple of the areas the president's doing right now are in the courts. I don't know how they're going to rule. I do know how they would have ruled if we'd have passed that bill last year, because it would have made very clear that the president has the authority to be able to enforce the law. So I understand the politics of last year and all the things that are in it. Right. It didn't go as far as I wanted to be able to go by far on that, because I'm negotiating with a Democrat president. But my goal was to make sure that we're securing the border, that the president always has the authority they need to be able to make it very clear America's open to legal immigration.
Sure.
We're closed to illegal immigration.
Y'all are also wondering, where were these judges during the past 4 years when you've got criminals who are entering this country illegally? Speaking of some legal questions here, I got to ask you about this supposed gift to the United States. And as the president describes it, a gift to the DOD in regards to an estimated $400 million jet. It's going to be used as Air Force One and then potentially donated to the Trump presidential library once that's all put together, but used by the DOD. Do you have any concerns, Senator, about where it's coming from, or the fact that the president's accepting this gift in anticipation of not getting anything in return to Qatar?
Yeah, the president, number one, has made it very clear. He's accepting on behalf of the United States. It's not a personal gift to him. The president can't receive a personal gift and to do that. In fact, anyone who sends a gift to the president, those things all end up in the presidential library. The president can't actually keep those gifts. That's already the law that's out there. I am excited that Democrats are flying a plane around Mar-a-Lago with their banner on it, because they're probably using oil that we produced in Oklahoma to be able to fly their planes. So I appreciate the DNC helping out the Oklahoma economy by burning more Jet A fuel as they're flying around with their message that no one's going to care about on it. At the end of the day, the Air Force One is the most unique aircraft in the world. It has unique defense systems. It has unique classified communication systems. So if this aircraft is going to be used in the days ahead, they're going to have to strip it down, rewire it, do a lot of work on it. So it'll take a long time to be able to get it ready to be Air Force One, because there is no aircraft in the world like Air Force One.
I was just looking at NBC's reporting that could cost $1 billion to retrofit this new Air Force One if they do decide to go that route. Do you agree with that, or is that just the left trying to attack?
That's throwing a dart up there. No one really knows what the cost is. Obviously, we have production right now going on for the new Air Force One that is behind schedule. The president's very right again on that one. They've been way behind schedule on it. And so Boeing's got to be able to get that one ready so it is ready to go, because the current Air Force One is decades old.
Yeah. Before we let you go, Senator, I got to ask about your new book, From Humanics, Turnaround, America's Revival. It almost seems like we are going through a revival of sorts with this Trump administration 2.0. But if you could share with our viewers just a little bit more about what they might learn inside the pages of this book.
It took about 3 years to be able to write it, and it really comes from talking to a lot of conservatives that say, if I just elect the right person, they'll fix the country on it. I'm excited that President Trump was elected, but President Trump's job is not to fix every neighborhood and every place. That's what we do in communities. And so the challenge is, what are you going to do to be able to get off the couch and to actually get engaged locally around your family and your community? And I give a lot of ideas. I walk through a lot of American history. I love American history and tell a lot of stories that people may or may not know on some of the ways that we've really seen national turnaround in the past. I give ideas. It's also a challenge for people of faith. I'm a person of faith personally. There's a lot in there of scripture to be able to walk through and say, how are we living our values now to be able to impact culture in the future?
Sounds great. We're in the golden age, right?
Golden age.
The new golden age,
Yeah.
according to President Trump. So pairs nicely with the book. Senator James Lankford, thanks so much for coming on National Report this morning. We appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.